Dave Garland is the managing partner of Second Century Ventures, which is the National Association of Realtors venture capital arm. They have built an unbelievable portfolio of companies like Notarize and DocuSign, and are investing your dollars, members' dollars, to make money for the industry and keep realtors at the center of the transaction. But that's not why he's here. He's here to set the stage for this day, so we all go into it thinking about the future. So he's going to give us a glimpse, and he's going to seed us, and he's going to inspire us.
We're here to rock the market today. Say aye. Do we have any realtors in the room? Say aye. There's a lot of energy in Miami. I like it. I like it a lot. This has to be the best dressed group of realtors I think I've ever seen. Y'all are incredible. Look, I'm from California, and I know a lot of you are accustomed to hearing that line lately, followed by, can you find me a house? A lot of us moving out here, and there's really good reason why. There's magic in Miami, a lot of magic. You see it in the cranes in the air. You see it in the real estate velocity in this particular market. 2% of the population of Florida is a licensed real estate agent. Is that right? That is unbelievable, but it also speaks quite highly to the amount of innovation and excitement that's going on in this particular ecosystem. And that's why I'm just super excited to be here today, and I thank the Miami Association for inviting me out here to talk a little bit about some of the things that we're seeing in this space. And I was originally asked to come and talk about technology as it pertains to real estate, but I gotta tell you, I had to change the topic up a little bit. And I changed it around after talking with my son. He's 4 years old. And I haven't been traveling a lot just because of this whole pandemic thing, but when I was about ready to leave for Miami, he pulls me aside and he says, "Dad, where are you going?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to Florida, son, and I'm going to talk to a whole bunch of realtors." And he said, "Well, what are you talking about?" And I said, "Technology and real estate." And just nothing there as a response, unfortunately. So I thought, I got to beef this thing up. And before I could think about something else, he runs into the other room. And he comes back and he says, "Dad, I'm going to miss you, but I want you to take something with you." And he gives me this car, which happens to be his favorite Hot Wheels car. And I thought, that's incredibly sweet of you, son. And he said, no, I want you to play with it so you're not lonely, and I want you to show everybody this car. And it's kind of a touching moment, obviously, because he's giving me his favorite car, something that is insanely valuable to him, and he's entrusting me with it. Which really got me thinking about what he was really trying to say to me. What he was really trying to say to me was that he was afraid of being forgotten, which is kind of an interesting universal concept, especially in this particular market where it seems like we're dominated by the three I's right now. Interest rates, inflation, inventory constraints, all against a backdrop of information overload. So yeah, I think it's something that we can all relate to universally, is this fear, this underlying tension of being forgotten. And I hear that a lot within the realtor community. I hear it a lot in a number of different contexts, which is why today I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the idea of bringing value to our customers to better serve them. Because we all want to be successful, but it's not about being successful. Success comes when we provide the value to our customers. I think Einstein said it best when he said, strive not to be a success, but to be of value. He wasn't saying don't be successful. He was saying if you can find your true value, then the success will come. And that's really what we try to do at Second Century Ventures, which is the venture capital arm of the National Association of Realtors. We've been around for a little over a decade now. The entire purpose of this organization is to invest in technologies that keep the realtor central to the transaction, that provide the underlying technologies and processes to better your business so you can be of greater value to your customers. So how do we do it? Well, every year we look at over 1,000 technologies from around the globe. And each one of these technologies we evaluate very deeply, and we try to figure out, does this keep you at the center of the transaction? And if so, can we add additional fuel to these technologies so they can better design their products and services with you in mind for the future? And we've done a pretty good job so far. We've invested in over 65 companies that you see here through Second Century Ventures. Many of these logos on this particular page look extremely familiar. But at the end of the day, the folks that power these organizations are not a lot different than you and I. They're entrepreneurs at heart. They took the initial journey to start something new amidst a backdrop of the unknown. That's really, really tough when you think about it. I love my job. I absolutely do. I get to meet some of the best and brightest minds in the world, and I get to communicate with them about your biggest challenges. And if I do a good job, then they serve you. Our best investment to date is Reach. Many of you have heard of Reach. If you've heard of Reach, say aye. Okay, we got to change that. Next time around, everybody better be screaming aye. What's great about Reach is every year we bring in 7 to 10 companies that are just starting to get traction in the market, and we pair them with you. We pair them with all of your challenges. We ask you for help. We ask you for mentorship to make better products to serve the long-term industry needs. We are fiduciaries of the industry, which separates us from many of the other VCs that you're starting to hear more and more about in the ecosystem. And what's great about Reach now is that we've been so incredibly successful that we've opened up Reach offices around the globe, from Australia to the UK to Canada, because the best technologies, I gotta tell you, they don't care about boundaries. And if we can bring these technologies to you and serve them up on a platter, then we all win. Now, inevitably, when people find out what I do, they tend to ask 3 very specific questions. They ask, first, okay, sounds really weird, are we gonna be disrupted? Everybody's sort of familiar with that question. There's kind of underlying fear. The second question is, okay, what's the future gonna look like? Will there be flying cars is usually part of that question. Then the third question is, once you get through a little bit of fear and excitement, you get right down to the practical. Realtors are very practical, which is awesome. And that is, how do I grow my business right now? What do you got for me right here, right now? And if you're okay with that, I'd like to use this as a framework to just discuss some of the things that we're seeing, and first and foremost, answer the big one, the big question. Are we going to be disrupted? Let me preface this answer by saying that innovation is inevitable. Innovation is inevitable. And against the backdrop of the largest industry in America and the largest asset class in the world. It's worth over $325 trillion. You better believe that that's going to attract a lot of attention, a lot of money, a lot of investors that want to come in and solve the biggest problems inherent in our space. And so you do get a lot of VCs, private equity companies, entering the market and tossing a lot of dollars at entrepreneurs who say that they can magically solve all of the problems associated with the real estate ecosystem. How much money? Well, in 2021, there was over $20 billion spent, invested in technology that serves you. Everything from CRMs to transaction management systems, from AR to VR to virtual showings to search engine technology. That's $20 million a day. $20 million a day that's been invested in this industry. So inherent in that question of am I going to be disrupted? Well, it's part of the bigger question, right? Am I going to be forgotten amidst this sea of technology? Well, what I can say is that the reaction to that question is the most important aspect and probably one of the most important decisions of your career. Do you bury your head in the sand? If you do, well, you're in good company with other folks that have buried their head in the sand in various industries when innovation was happening at a very large scale. What I love about this particular page is not that all these companies no longer exist, we know that, but the underlying industry that each of these companies served within is now more powerful than ever. This is just the example of the folks that didn't embrace the new technology. They didn't take into consideration consumer demand at that particular point in time. What's important about this to recognize, especially in the context of what I see every day, is how a lot of entrepreneurs decide, well, gosh, will I myself be disintermediated or disrupted? And sort of brings up a key question. Does anybody know number one reason why startups fail? There's one specific reason why startups fail again and again, and it's not because they run out of money. It's a lack of product market fit. Specifically, companies that don't take into consideration the changing ethos of the environment. They don't take into consideration the things that you're having to deal with on a day-to-day basis. New entrants in the market, iBuyers, for instance. Interest rate challenges, inventory constraints, all those three I's that I talked about at the beginning. If the technologist isn't taking these into consideration, then they are not serving you as the realtor. Innovation is inevitable. My point to you is, please don't bury your head in the sand in order to not be forgotten. So this is the fun part now. Now we get to look at the second question, which is really based on the idea of, well, what's the future hold? Now, I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't pretend to read tarot cards, but I can tell you that 15 years ago, a magic device entered the marketplace, and that magic device was something that now 94% of you use every day. This iPhone. This iPhone wasn't, not this particular one, of course, everybody's got their own smartphone, of course, but the idea of this phone changing your day-to-day business practices. It was never built for real estate, but at the same time, though, it's become critical to everything that we do. That was 15 years ago, and the adoption rate is at 94%. Now, I want to meet those realtors, the 6% of realtors that don't use a smartphone every day in their business practice, because I need to have a deeper conversation with them. But the bottom line is that we oftentimes don't know what technologies will influence a particular industry. Now, I think in the next 15 years, we'll see additional mobility. Maybe we'll see smart glasses or smart contact lenses, things that really have nothing to do with real estate, but will challenge the paradigms of our consumers such that it forces us to react to them. So there's going to be direct technology impact on our industry and indirect impacts. Let's start with some of the big ones that I think we all know are coming our way. Currently, 34% of Americans currently leverage smart home technology in their homes today. That number is going to shoot up to about 80 to 90%. And you better believe that as sensor technology improves over time, that your consumers will change their demands for what they want, both in their homes and their offices and their retail establishments, et cetera. These sensor technologies are becoming incredibly sophisticated. And as the sophistication improves, so too will the intersectionality between other industries like healthcare and real estate. We're going to start seeing things like our toilets telling us whether or not we have a virus before our doctors will. You don't think it's coming? It is. We're a couple years out from that. We're going to have sensors that will better predict the livable atmosphere in our house in order to maximize our oxygen intake to be the best humans in our own ecosystem, in our own environments. That's pretty profound. In addition, the raw materials that are used to make real estate will change. Concrete is going to change in dramatic fashion. You're going to see concrete that heals itself, that heals cracks in the walls. You're going to see better, quicker, more efficient processes for building structures at scale in order to solve carbon sequestration issues, in addition to inventory constraint issues at scale. You're going to see asphalt that automatically charges your electric cars while you drive. You're going to see windows that are so translucent, but yet can power your house through new photovoltaic cells that will blow your mind. These materials will change consumer demand. In addition to that, we're going to change the way that we see photo rendering opportunities, which will directly impact the way that you show your homes. This is something called Unreal Engine, which is literally unreal. On the fly, you can swipe and determine the interior design of a property and loop through that property with the materials that you want for your clients. It's not just about 3D renderings or walkthroughs anymore. It's about the underlying materials and the setting of the homes itself. A lot of times when we try to determine what it is that we do, we come to the realization that we are, in fact, vision makers. And the ability to paint the picture better for our clients will help differentiate us from our clients not really understanding what is possible. If we can help to create the vision in the minds of our customers, then we're providing additional value. What's also fascinating is some of the technologies that won't necessarily have an immediate direct impact on us, but it will help to guide consumer choices. Take drone delivery services. In over 100 cities around the world for the last 5 years, various drone manufacturers have been testing drone delivery services. And if you don't think this will have an impact on your business, think again. This will impact how retail establishments, logistical facilities are set up in your area, which will in turn impact the way that consumers decide where they want to live and work. Yes, 15 years from now, I'm going to make a bold statement, there will be air taxis. These air taxis will get FAA approval. There will be electric vehicle flights, and there will be the Uberization of air transport. This air transport will do to the exurbs what the automobile did to the suburbs. It will dramatically change the preferences of many of your customers. A lot of these incredible technologies are going to need to be powered by immense amount of data. We're going to experience a satellite revolution in the next 15 years that will impact all of us. It will impact our businesses. As a matter of fact, right now, you can launch a satellite about the size of a small dog for less than $1 million. And that particular satellite can give you incredible information, not just geographic information, but you can link up with other satellite technologies. And this is what's going to power our driverless cars of the future. It will power the internet. It will power all the social media that we leverage. Satellite technology will fundamentally alter the information that we share and how we communicate, the security of that information, the security of our data, more than any other terrestrial device out there. But you've probably heard me say a couple of times, one of the things that things like satellites provide for us, and that is this idea of data. And of all the really cool things that are coming in the next 15 years, there's nothing that will have a bigger impact on our lives than artificial intelligence. It will impact us more so than the light bulb impacted us. And over the last couple of months, I've been sort of playing with different AI features in the market, which has grown leaps and bounds over the last couple of years. And there's one particular device, GPT-3. And GPT-3 is a neural language processing module that a lot of AI engineers have been using. Think of it as a sophisticated chatbot. But it's able to gather information on the web and have a really detailed conversation with you, almost as if you're talking to a 12th grader. It's become so powerful that there was an engineer just 3 weeks ago fired from Google because that engineer thought that this technology was sentient. Now, if you don't know what sentient means, it's essentially that this thing could feel. And because he believed that this technology could feel, he believed that it had rights and should be guaranteed rights. Think about that. Now, I know it's really tough to talk about artificial intelligence, so I asked AI when I was chatting with it, I said, hey, you mind if I share what AI does to realtors? And it said, yeah. And I said, okay, let's do it. So I've got some questions that I want to ask AI, and I even created an avatar that doesn't really exist in real life. And figured we could ask some questions if you're cool with it. Everybody cool with that? Say aye. Okay, so, hey AI, I'm Dave, and I've got a couple questions for you.
Hi, Dave. I'm Charlotte. I am an AI created by OpenAI. I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, so tell me what you know, Charlotte, about the MIAMI Realtors.
MIAMI Realtors are knowledgeable about the local real estate market and can help you find the right property for your needs. They are also familiar with the local area and can provide helpful advice on things to do and see in Miami.
Cool, Charlotte, but I kind of bet you say that about all the big cities, though, don't you?
Well, I think Miami is a great city and has a lot to offer, but I'm sure there are other cities that are just as great.
Well, can you tell me if realtors should be worried about new technologies displacing their existence?
There is always some level of worry when new technologies are introduced, but I don't think realtors should be too worried. These technologies can help realtors become more efficient and provide better service to their clients. In the end, I think realtors will still be needed as long as there is a housing market.
Well, do you think that AI will ever be sophisticated enough to mimic the day-to-day activities or actions of realtors?
I think AI will become more and more sophisticated over time, but I don't think it will ever be able to completely mimic the day-to-day activities of a realtor. Realtors have a lot of experience and knowledge about the housing market, and I think that's something that AI will never be able to replace.
So what you're saying is AI is not going to become sentient. Is that right, Charlotte?
I think AI will become more and more sophisticated, but I don't think it will ever become sentient.
Okay, trick question. Where will mortgage interest rates be by year's end?
Interest rates are expected to rise throughout the year, but they will still remain low by historical standards.
Okay, seems like a cop-out, but okay. What's your best piece of advice to succeed as a realtor?
One of the best pieces of advice for success as a realtor is to always be learning. Keep up with the latest trends in the industry and learn as much as you can about the local market. Also, don't be afraid to use new technologies to help you work more efficiently.
Great. So I'm speaking to a live audience right now, the Miami Realtors. Anything that you want to share with them about yourself?
I would like to share that I am a helpful and friendly AI that can be a great asset wherever realtors are located. Thank you for speaking with me today.
Great. Can you say, rock the market, Charlotte?
Rock the market.
Louder!
Rock the market.
Okay. Thank you, Charlotte. Everybody give her a big hand, all right? So, what's fascinating about this is it took me less than 20 minutes to put this together. What's more fascinating is that AI and Charlotte's will be able to take orders. Right now, if I told Charlotte, give me a piece of copy that I could fit on a Facebook ad to sell a property, it would take less than 3 seconds for her to produce the best, most sexiest Facebook ad that will deliver a lot of leads to me. You can do that right now. In the future, AI is going to be even more impactful. For instance, to be able to say, hey, look, I need the top 3 zip codes in Miami. Give me, of all the listings, anything where I could put down $500,000 and achieve a cap rate of over 8% yield and turn that property within a 3-year time to maximize my ROI for my investor. And on top of that, make those offers immediately, write them out, and send them out to those respective listing agents. Go. That's only a couple years away. This will have a profound impact on our ecosystem. Which leads us to the last question, and that is, how can I leverage technology today to solve the problems of my business, to help me grow? And my immediate response back to this particular question is you don't want to grow as a realtor. Growing maintains stagnancy because oftentimes we as realtors forget that expenses sometimes stay parallel with the revenue that we create. We don't talk enough about profitability of our offices, which is why I really encourage businesses to scale in this particular market. Scaling means that we can enhance our revenue while keeping our expenses the same way. And the best technology companies, what they do in order to scale is figure out specifically what they're good at, but more importantly, what they're not good at, and outsource or partner with or take on new technologies that could help streamline operations in order for you to grow your revenue and keep your costs at bay. And fundamentally, when we look at our own businesses, when we look in the mirror, the number one question that you should be asking yourself is, what am I not good at? And figure out a way that we can leverage technology to help solve those problems. Oftentimes I get asked as a sub-question, which is, well, gosh, there's just so many technologies out there. How do I know which one's the best one for me? And it always comes back to, well, what are you not good at? What's your most important aspect of your business that you're not good at? Followed up by the idea that you better love your customers. The best technology companies are obsessed about customer retention. And in this age of lead generation, where oftentimes we get in the habit of treating people like leads as opposed to relationships, I think that there's no better recipe for long-term disaster in this ecosystem is if we treat our leads as transactions and not relationships. Fundamentally, this is a relationship business, and the more we treat it as a relationship business, the more that we're able to focus on the things that we may not be so good at, which is, well, how do we change our back office from analog to digital? For example, well, there's plenty of great technologies that have been able to resolve some of the fundamental challenges. We all know DocuSign or Notarize that offers 24/7 notarization service, or Transactly that provides back office transaction management at scale. There's other problems that we have as well that we may not be so good at, which is maximizing a property's ROI. There's plenty of incredible technologies out there and services, from Punchlist to Curbio to Feather, from a staging standpoint, that can enhance the value of a property. We don't have to be doing this ourselves as realtors when there's technology that helps to solve some of these problems. Consumer liquidity is a massive challenge right now in an inventory-constrained environment. There's incredible financial solutions out there. Whether you're a renter or whether you're a home seller or a home buyer, things like Knock are coming up with incredible innovative opportunities to empower you to then empower your buyers to then make all-cash offers to compete against some of the new entrants to this industry, like these iBuyers. Post-transaction messaging to keep your customer aware that you're still around. Massive problem. And there's plenty of solutions that help to keep you front and center while they're in their life cycle of living in their property and then looking at other options 7, 10 years down the road. Again, being obsessed with customer retention will differentiate you. Poor leads and referrals. I hear this one all the time, and there's plenty of companies out there that help you to scrub and to respond to your leads and better be in front of these leads in order to help to turn them into relationships. Because fundamentally, again, if we're doing a terrible job at our relationships, then we're not doing our job as realtors. And at the end of the day, it's all about providing value. That is your differentiating factor. We're not just realtors, we're vision makers for our customers. And that innate underlying fear of being forgotten is really real. And I think that if we look at where we're going to be in the future, we want to be in a circumstance with our customers where we are not forgotten. And the way to not be forgotten is to provide value to them for the entire life cycle that they are in your databases. Don't be forgotten as a realtor. Let's all have a wonderful day, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here. Go out and rock the market. Thank you.